Hello, all. Hope you all are doing good. So, I got a question on email and thought it's pretty interesting to talk about it. So, let's go through it. So, the question was that somebody asked from the community is I would like to add a custom table into the preview posting feature in Sales Order and Business Central 365 and how you do that. As I did not have taken the consent from the person, I'm not taking the name. But let's understand how you do it if you have to do it. So before we do that, let's first, if you don't know what that feature is, mm, in Business Central, uh, now it's available in so many areas. If needed, let me know. I can tell you all the places where it is available. Just to make sure before you do your actual posting of your documents. And now, if I'm not wrong, it should be in journals also. What you can do is you can go to the order, at least it's there on the sales order, where you have the post action. You also have a preview posting. What the preview posting does, it shows you what values will get posted in what kind of ledgers when you post this document, what kind of related ledgers will be created. So if I actually try to post it, which is a separate action, I'll get six GL entries, one customer ledger entry, and so on and so forth, and then I can drill down further to see what values and what amounts has been transferred to those different accounts. It also tells me account and all. The beauty of it for a user who is new in Business Central, or if you're not sure about what kind of posting you're doing, is to review your document before you actually post it. So it's a super cool feature which has been added into the past. Microsoft is continuously adding it into the areas where it'll be needed by users. Now the question is, if I have a custom, if I've customized the posting routine somehow, how can I add that custom ledger into this list? Now, before we go there, um, there is an other setup for it. If you don't know about it, in your general ledger setup, if you do show more here, you'll see that there is a posting preview type of standard versus extended. Extended is a new style of posting preview which shows you a little bit more info than what we were showing, what we just saw. So now if I do a preview posting, I'll see the GL entries expanded, the tax entries, and then if I want, and then the related entries will be here. So that's just how it shows you then. So what you can see here is GL entries, tax entries at this point, and then the customer ledger entry, detailed customer and value entry. Now let's revert it back and we'll get into the code to understand it. Okay, general ledger setup, and I'll revert it back to standard. Okay, so now let's understand it from a code perspective. I'll be utilizing the same repo that we were using yesterday for our other community question, and we'll see how we do it. So just to take an example, let's create a new table. Let's use the wizard. Let's create a table and we name it as SDH sample ledger. Let's say it's just a demo ledger. And then I have field like, let's say entry number, which is of type integer, and it's a customer content. And then document number, where I'll store the sales order number of type code 20, customer content. Then let's say I would like to store which customer bought which item. So I'll store the customer number. Okay, of code 20 customer content. And then I'll surely add the item number for code 20 customer content. Um, let's do a field also. Let's say quantity to ship. Okay, decimal. customer content. And when we are doing quantity to ship, let's do a quantity to invoice because these values will be easy to fetch from the sales line. Okay, let's finish it. So the table is here, and let me change it to customer content. And then the primary key is entry number, and I'll just to save my time, I'll do a auto increment to true, which means that the value of this field will be automatically assigned once I do an insert, and I don't have to keep a track of it while I'm inserting records. Now that's that. Now what we would like to do is we would like to modify the sales posting routine so that we can hit some data into this table. Okay. So for that, we'll have to create a code unit. So let's go ahead and let's create a code unit for our, what is this, sample? Okay, SDH, sample posting. Okay, and let's finish it. Now here it is, and I'll just change the name first so that it doesn't give me all my warnings. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I would like to subscribe to an event somewhere on sales post, right? Sales post. I don't know the event name. Let's pick that together here. Okay. Okay. And if you don't know about this, put me a comment and I'll work with you on that. We might create a video about it if needed. So what you're looking at a point in during the sales post so that we know that okay, at this point I can actually um, get the details of what I need to store in my this custom ledger that I just created. And I don't know why it is taking so long. So let me try again. Yeah, let's take more time. Let's go it from here, I guess. That'll be easier enough. Okay, still taking time. Let me reload the window. See what happens. Okay, so it's loading objects. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to create um, a logic where my data gets derived during the sales posting and get into this custom entity that I've created. So let's quickly scan this. This is on before check and update. It does the check and update. And then because I would like to get the line detail, I'll have to come a little bit down. Okay, it's on before post. This is temp level global and post sales line. All right, let's go in there. Let's see what's there. Okay, this can be tricky, so let me just search for it directly. Okay, so here with sales line, I have on post sales line. Okay, so I have an event here where the sales line posting is happening. So I can actually subscribe to this event. So let's do that. I get the sales line, I get the sales header, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's subscribe to this event on post sales line after test sales line. Okay, so this is my SDH custom ledger. Okay, what I need is sales header. I'll fetch some detail from header and some from line. Okay, so what I would like to do here is I would like to create a sample ledger of type record SDH sample ledger. Okay, in the sample ledger I'll do a init, and in the sample ledger I'll do an insert, which is as simple as that. Okay, I would only like it to do when it is item, so I'll do a check here if says line dot type is not equal to sales line dot type item, then do nothing. Get out from here. If it is not, then I would like to create my custom ledger. Okay. So I do this is I'll do a customer number which I'll get from my sales center. You can do whatever you want based on whatever your scenario is, and I hope the person understands that who have this question. And then the item number, which comes from my sales line dot number. Then on what are my next field? Document number, which again comes from my either sales center or sales line number. Okay. Now the only two fields left are my quantity to invoice, which comes from my sales line quantity to invoice. Okay. And my sample ledger dot quantity to ship comes from my sales line dot quantity to ship. Okay. That way, all my fields are filled in and we are good there. To activate my auto increment true, and in general, it's a good practice to utilize the state run trigger parameters true, so that if there are any subscriber on the insert trigger, they get fired at that point. That would be my code. But now let's understand what happens when you have a preview mode in your document. So during the preview mode, this boolean kind of gets set from code unit 81 to code unit 80, and then based on this boolean, system does certain things. So let's look at that because we'll have to apply the same model somewhere. Okay, so we are not doing any commit, so no problems there. Okay, posting numbers. Okay, okay. Well, there should be somewhere where it is inserting some header. Hmm. Let's figure that out. Archive, interface, post customer. Okay, insert posted header. At this point, what happens in your sales routine is your uh, shipment header and invoice header are being created at this point. So if you look at it, what it is doing is that when the preview mode is enabled, it is calling a code unit called posting buffer event handler, and it is setting up, it is calling a function to prevent commit. So let's utilize the same pattern here into our code unit. So we'll copy the variable and then we'll say if preview, then do the same thing. Okay. Now preview mode should be available, I hope, in this one. Let's have a look. So the posting preview event handler is the code unit which does all the event handling of the preview feature. I'll not go deep into details of how you read that and all. You'll have to spend some time. If needed, let me know. We can surely get into details of it. Okay, this is taking a lot of time. Let me just search it directly. Okay, so it have a preview mode boolean available. Okay, so let's pick that. And for some reason this is slow, so I'll just pick it and place it here. So now what I'm saying that if it is of non-item line, then do nothing and get out of the code. But if it is an item line and if the preview mode is enabled, somewhere on the setup, go ahead and enable prevent commit. Now what this code unit does, it takes care of all the preview functionality that you have in Business Central. So let's quickly have a look so that we understand some pieces of it. So the first thing that you see here is a lot of temp variable, and we'll come to it. We'll create those for our scenario. Then there are certain very specific method. One is get entries. Now the get entries is actually used when you do that drill down, and I'll show you. I'll not do it in the beginning if that makes sense. The second one is, oh sorry, not get entries is that. I guess that's the show entry, where it looks up the page that you would like to open when somebody clicks on that drill down. Then it opens a specific page. But from where the data gets set into it is something called as fill document entry. In this, the temp record get initialized based on whatever the record that you want to populate. And there's an event available at them, which internally calls a public method so that you can also call it from outside if needed. And it does insert, where you just need to pass the record and the document entry variable, which is available here. So it'll do the bit for you. And then there are the prevent commit, which you just called. So if commit prevented is set to true, then it exit. Otherwise, it sets it for the sales thing. And then there are other details. Now, eventually, what I was telling you while we were writing this code, that you should always write the insert true, because this code unit also utilize the on insert event of all these ledgers that you're talking about. Anytime there's an insert happen on these tables, and I guess there is no run trigger option, which is cool. So it just utilize it even if you don't write true. I guess it'll still work because irrespective of the run trigger, which is cool. So we'll have to create one of something like this. So now we have code in place. We have put our condition for the preview mode, but eventually there is a little bit more that need to be done, which is defining a subscriber like this, calling these method to fill the document entries, show entries, and get entries. So for that, what we'll do is we'll do our own posting preview. Okay, that'll happen with the code unit, and we will call it as SDH posting previews. No, nothing. In this one, what we would like to do is we would like to handle the posting scenarios or in the same way as we just saw. And I should name it as previews. So I'll do that. Okay. So what we want here is the first thing that we would like to define the methods which are defined there, right? So let's have a look. The first thing that we would like to do is a template like this of the same that we want to do. Okay. So let's do an event subscriber. The table in question, as in you can do it directly on the table if needed. I'm just trying to follow whatever Microsoft have written in the same way. That'll hold everything around that. So I'll do a sample ledger on insert event, and then I'll say on insert SDH sample ledger, and then the rep becomes this. Okay, and yeah, this is Microsoft. But if you are not going to utilize it, you can remove this. Good. So if it is temporary, then it exits. We're just utilizing the Microsoft way. Then it seems that they have a temp variable, so we will also define that. Okay, we'll say a temp uh, sample ledger of type record SDH sample ledger, and it's temporary. So remember this, that this should be temporary. Then we'll say that it gets assigned to rec, and we don't have this condition, but I'll just keep it as it is. And I'll say we have a document number field, which is cool. So we'll say that the document number field is set to triple star, which means it's still on the temp space on the preview stage. And then there is a preview commit, which seems to be not working because it doesn't understand it. So let's create the posting preview variable. Okay, and it should be able to understand it from here. Okay, so the first thing, which is creating that trigger of activating the preview, or making sure that it gets stored into the temp whenever insert happens, is done here. So anytime any insert happens, it will come into this temp. But that is not everything. So the next thing that we understood here is what we'll have to do is we'll have to fill the document entry, which shows up that drill down option. For that, we have this option or event called on after fill document entry. Okay, so let's add a event sub, and this time this is here, and this is my code unit that I would like to fetch from, and then rest remains empty, and these two become false. If you don't know why these two are false, let me know in comments. We'll talk about it. And then on this, what we have to do is this becomes our uh, fill document entry sample ledger. Okay. Here what I have is this is the temp record. It doesn't say temp here, but it's actually temp when you see on the source, which is here. This variable is a temp. So what do you have to do in this case? We just have to call this insert document entry with something like this. So let's do that. As it is not here, I'll have to append it with this. That's first thing. And then I have to pass my ledger into it, and then the document entry reference gets updated. Okay. So now my document entry array is filled up with my custom entity that I wanted. The last thing that I need to do is what happens when somebody clicks on that lookup, which is show entries. So in the show entries, it kind of links to a page, and then that page kind of shows it, which is this event is there. So let's subscribe to this also. So just to save time, I'll just copy this as it is, and then I'll change this to this, and then I'll say okay, show entries, and then whatever this passes, which is table number, I guess. Okay. What happens in this case? In there you'll see a case, but you can just do a table number is equals to whatever your table is, which is SDH sample ledger. If it is equal to that, then you would like to assign a page where this record will get open. Okay. Now we don't have a page at this moment. So what we'll do is we'll quickly go ahead and create a page on SDH sample ledgers, and SDH sample ledger is the table, and I would like to have it as a list page, and it's available on the list section for viewing purposes. I'll need the customer number, document number. Oh, sorry, let's do a customer number, item invoice ship, and then at the end we'll do the document number and entry number. Let's do finish, and let's make it as editable false so that we don't modify this. It's a ledger typically. Okay. So now we have a page. So what we'll do is we'll close this page and change the name of it just for hell of it. Okay, dot page. I'll go back in here and we'll do the page colon colon and whatever our page is, which is this. Okay. And then it need to assign or show the record that are stored in this temp. So we go in here and we do this. Okay, let me name it correctly. Otherwise, it doesn't like me. Okay. So now this opens the page that's needed when somebody clicks on that show entries. Now, I think that should be all on this, but we'll see. If it fails, we'll see what happens. One thing that is very important on these coordinates because it's dealing everything with the temp record, you'll have to set this to single instance. With this, the system will understand that it's a single instance code unit and will retain the value of that temp that's being passed through various functions. I'll also have to add, let me add a new folder for permission set. So that's a mandate now. And let me add a permission set. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so we are ready to test out our code and see how that works, or does it even work or not. I tried it once in or BC14 once, so I'm actually not sure how this will work. But let's give it a try and let's see how that works. So let's do the publish. That goes up, going and getting published on the environment that I'm in. Okay, it should not take that long. Okay, that's okay. We know I have some problems on my environment. Okay, so here we are. Let's pick a sales order. Okay, it has one line. Okay, let's try to do a preview posting. Oh, I see the sample ledger as one. If I click on it, I can see the customer number, the item number, the quantities, the document number, which is random till the point it doesn't get inserted. Actual inserted happen, and then entry number is one. Cool. Okay, let's try another one and see what happens. Okay, let's try preview posting. This have two lines. Huh? It says three now. Okay. Okay, that makes sense because it's a single instance code unit and is trying to retain the value that has been stored in it. And we should have done a little bit of better job to clean this up as we were working on it. Okay, not a problem. We're still here. There's no problems that have happened. So this is our page. Okay, we are still on our code unit where we have done all this. Now there's one more thing that we'll have to do because this is a single instance code unit is to make sure that anytime a preview happen, let's create a local procedure, and we'll call it as clear temp variables. Now, because it's a temporary variable, and you can't use clear because that doesn't clear the value, you'll have to do a delete all from your temporary record set. That's why it's important that it is set to temporary. So keep this in mind that when you create this variable, that should be temporary. But then we should invoke this whenever this new instance is being called. Now, we haven't talked about it, but there is actually one base Microsoft Code unit where the general post preview, where all this engine kind of runs. So anytime you start a preview process, it surely starts from here. So anytime we see that we would like to clear something out, we'll have to come here and we'll have to see that there is a method called on before run preview. So anytime a preview starts, this method is called, which in turn calls this event, which then can be utilized. So let's do this so that we can clear our variable, and we would like to call it from here, and then the coordinate name is general preview. So let's do that, and then this is false, and this is also false. Okay, I don't know why I do this all the time, but okay, my bad. Now this is cleanup temp. That's my method name. Do I need any published argument? No. I just need to call my clear temp variable. What will happen with this? As soon as the preview process will start, it'll make sure that it cleans everything that's on temp, and then the rest of the code remains as it is. So now, at any point you do any n number of postings or n number of previews, the temp will get clear and the single instance will not cause problems for you. So let's try publishing this and see what happens. Hope that solves our problem, hopefully. Okay, so I get it here and let me refresh this. Okay, let's pick one of those. Let's try to do a preview posting, and we see two entries because of the two lines. Great. Now let's go to the next document, and this only have one line. So let's do a preview posting, and we see one line which got refreshed. Now let's try to actually post one to see is it actually creating entries or not, which is important. Let's do a ship an invoice. Okay, that got posted. And now what we need to do is, what was that? Sample ledger? Yes. You'll see that it got here with two entries. The document number is of the sales order, the invoice are there, the item numbers are there. So how let's quickly review what we did from the perspective of how you in summary do this. You will have your posting routine, custom posting routine, written in a way that you want. If there are commits that you have written, please do refer to the standard posting routine of sales or purchase or anywhere else where there is a preview functionality, and see that you only do a commit or a modifier of a record when the preview is not set to true. So you can go back, see the code unit AD. There are certain instances where if the preview mode is true, it doesn't do a commit, because commit means it is actually stored in the database. So keep those checks and balances on your custom posting routine, and then add a boolean to trigger to review the prevent commit action function from your preview management, which we have done here. That's the first part of it. The second part is which talks about the second code unit, which is your preview handler. Things to remember about it. It's a single instance code unit. Your custom ledger entity that you're creating should have a temporary variable created on that code unit, on that single instance code unit. That code unit will contain some methods or some event subscriber, to be very fair. One, which will put the actual record into a temporary table whenever, or a temporary variable, whenever the insert happens into that particular table, which we have achieved here. So anytime the record get inserted into my ledger, it gets passed into my temporary record set. And before that, you'll call the prevent commit, and you can just see it on the standard Microsoft code unit of posting preview handler. The second thing, once you have that temporary record, the second method that you need to create, which will transfer that temporary record into a buffer or document entry table, which is a buffer which is shown to the user. For that, there is a method called insert document entry, which you can just simply subscribe to, even you can subscribe to, and then pass your values to. The last but not least, or the second last, which is to show entries, where you have to define your ledger page with that temporary record set. And last but not least, an important one is to make sure that you clear your temporary variable every time there is a preview that's being called. So this puts the actual record to the temporary record. This event puts your temporary record into that buffer, and this shows you those temporary records that are being created. This event, which is on the general post preview method or code unit, allows you to clean any temporary variable, which is important to do a delete all because it's a single instance code unit and the values will retain even after the execution is done for this code unit. So what we learned today is about how you extend or customize a posting preview posting if needed. Let me know your views. If you have any such questions that I can answer, or if you think the style is working, please let me know in comments. Do subscribe to the channel. Share these video with your friends, colleagues, developers who are working on these things so that we all learn together and try to follow a pattern. If somebody who knows and who have done this in a better way, please comment on it and we all will learn something from you if there's something like that. The source code for this will again be available on the GitHub repo about the community questions, and the link will be tabbed or pinned into either the first comment or on on the right hand side of your screen. You'll be able to navigate to GitHub library where this code is. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you next time. Thank you.